Good evening, everybody. Um, this is just me again, and I'm just watching something, and something came across my mind after I heard it, because I watched so many of you guys, you content creators on YouTube, um, and most of the time, you basically learn from watching to keep your opinions to yourself to a point, because basically now I'm watching a lot of beefing back and forth through what you guys call it sectors or all of that groups. Panels and all of that. So I doubt if I ever get to that point because I'm not really invested. But there was just one thing dealing with the gentleman panel or the interview that Jay Wilson had with Jason on the panel. And I'm not going to get into a long thing because everybody has voiced their opinion based on um, the discussion within itself. And the only thing I wanted to really discuss was the reasoning behind bringing Jason on the panel. Um, and I think Jay Wilson stated that the reason he brought him on the panel was because we needed to have that dialogue, that talk, that understanding, that conversation. And coming from my background, and believe it or not, I'm 60. And so there's been many dialogues way before Jason was ever on the show. And even though Jason showed his true colors, again, I didn't know who he was. And I didn't, 4 hours was long for me, so I didn't watch it. But um, I think, I don't want to say it wrong. I think enlightened and knowledgeable black people, white people, Asian, Chinese, Japanese people, we all know the plight of the African American race. Uh, how so be it, I am mixed of a mixed race. My great grandparents were white, and I did have a family that were Indian. Um, so a lot of the things that many people experienced, I did not, because back at that time, and it's it was even harder for them, or for, well, not for us, but for them, because they shielded us from a lot. It was harder for them to live because, of course, they were married in interracial marriages. So we ended up growing up on a farm. Well, when I went to visit my grandmother, I put it that way. Um, they had very little they needed to go to the store for, because everything that was done on the farm. Everything. They had chickens, cows, pigs, horses, um, everything that you could possibly need. They made bread. My grandmother did her own butter. All that. So she would not, or they would not have to be bothered with the racial battering that would have come because of their interracial mix. But there is no other dialogue. That reason for me, and I'm not judging him. I'm just saying that the statement was a little bit off, because I'm trying to figure out what more dialogue do you need in order to know how one race feels about another. And I'm making that as a general statement because I think all of us to a certain point has a measure of racism in us. It's just that it's been overshadowed and overpowered because we have been the beating end of racial inequality, and that's the way it is. I can't change that. I've asked God many times, why were we chosen to be the down race, the slaves, the ones who had to actually live, get killed, so that we may live, or we may have the rights that we do have now. But I didn't understand what dialogue there was to be given or presented that would have made any discussions that's been going on for over 200 years, um, that would have enlightened us from someone who was very ignorant of our racial background, our racial makeup, our racial characteristics. I think for the most part, the most statements that he made of a generalized basis. All of us are not the same. At one point, people would say, well, you all look alike. I can stand beside my two brothers and three sisters, and we don't look alike, but we're all black. Well, we're mixed, but we're black. So I just didn't understand what other dialogue do we need to have with anybody regarding racial issues, because those that dialogue has been going on. Minister Farrakhan has never stopped the dialogue. Go back and check on. He's been on many shows with this dialogue regarding racial issues and regarding things concerning the plight of the African American people. So there was nothing that Jason could have injected new. There was nothing he could have stated that we may have misunderstood as far as our racial backup is or makeup is. There was nothing that he could really give to you. So I didn't understand the reasoning he was saying. I brought him on. So, we need to have that sit down and talk for what? That talk has been going on before I was born, before I was even an egg in my mom's womb. That discussion was going on even before, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't understand the purpose of saying I brought him on for the dialogue. There's no dialogue to be given. And then, as in history, when he began to project his rhetoric, he wasn't rebuked, because at that point, it's an embarrassment and it's a disrespect to the people, even to the guys that were on the panel. It's a disrespect to you as an African American man to sit there and listen and say, see, if he talked long enough, his true self was gonna come out. Well, he didn't have to talk at all. I don't know his background, never did, never will. But I'm just saying, if you want to have good dialogue, stop beefing with everybody. And everybody's lying on everybody. Everybody got receipts on this, and this person's lying. Get to the core of what's really going on within society and within our world. I don't understand the monetizing thing and all that. I could care less. There are things that I don't get. And when I don't understand it or don't get it, number one, I'm not stupid before somebody says that. Number two, I'm not ignorant. But I'm trying to understand your thought process on why you did certain things or why you presented certain things. The beef and stuff I can't get into because I like a lot of you. I really do. And some of you you make me smile when I look at you because of your presence. But I just didn't understand the purpose of saying it was dialogue and we needed to have that dialogue and we needed to sit down and have that talk. No. No. We I mean, what world? If anybody black, period, even millennials don't understand that struggle. Let me change that. Don't know that struggle. I can see you having someone sitting down and talking to them about that. But even when doing that, you still need to have an all-black panel to understand the plight of black people. You can see it on YouTube, Conquer and Devour. We're doing that amongst our own on YouTube. And like I said, you guys said it's for entertainment. Okay, I understand that's entertainment. But where do you draw the line between entertainment and embarrassment or disgraceful or disrespectful? Everybody it's amazing what people will do. And I guess everybody is making a lot of money off of their videos or off of their content or whatever. But I just don't understand the purpose of saying after the fact we needed to have that dialogue because we didn't. We've already had that. We've had great men of this country have that dialogue. Nothing came of it. We've already had great panels and great discussions on news, on CNN, on different channels. We've had that discussion, like I said, before I was born, amongst others. There's nothing that we don't already understand. There's nothing we don't already know. There's nothing that we don't get as far as our plight and where we fit in to the world and to this country. So I just didn't understand the reasoning behind having Jason on there. I have nothing against Jason. I couldn't muster him once he got the dog up and all that because I was going in and out. But like I said, after the panel, and Jay Wilson was giving the, I guess you can say why he did it and why he brought Jason, he said we needed to have that dialogue. That's just not true. I mean, I guess Texas is not as bad as Mississippi, where you live the dialogue almost daily. Mississippi and Alabama, Tennessee, where the struggle and the fights really took place for equal rights for Black people. Martin Luther King had those discussions because he believed let's discuss these things and not it be anything that dealt with anger or violence, and that's why while he was saying that dogs were being people were attacked by dogs, water hoses were being poured on them, and he was still saying violence wasn't the way to go. Yeah, that's the way the other group went to stop us. Jesse Jackson, I mean, I can name a lot. I'm not going to go into all of it because I'm tired, I'm sleepy. But I never understood the purpose of him saying we needed to have that dialogue, because that dialogue has been going on for over, at least I give it 100 years. There's nothing new we're going to learn from someone who doesn't understand our race, who doesn't wake up and see themselves in this place. And this is another day I've got to struggle and fight for my place in this country. And the other thing that's really, and this doesn't have anything to do with the panel, but it shocks me and surprises me. If there's a dialogue to be had, why there's not a dialogue to how we as a Black race, instead of killing each other and putting each other down and, knocking each other down, where's the dialogue? What will it take for us to come together as one race, as one, so we can be as powerful and as effective as all other races? That's one of the reasons why millennials, they don't get into it, they don't bother with it, it doesn't bother them, because they've grown up and they've seen what happens or what's going on. And so they don't invest in the things that it took for them to have the right to go to a school, public school, to drink out of a public fountain, to use a public restroom, to go through the front door. Entertainers, as great as they were Black, as gifted as they were, they still had to go through the back door. They still were not acknowledged. And even then, the white people will only accept them as long as they were on that stage, sharing their gift. Once that gift was over, you will return back to your Blackness. So I just didn't understand the purpose of him saying we needed to have that dialogue. I didn't understand that, and I can't comprehend what have you missed where you say that's the reason I had him on the panel, was because we needed to have that dialogue. Who needed to have a dialogue? You and him? Because I guarantee you, I won't say everybody, but my family is well versed on racial issues, racial injustices, genocide when it comes to us. We're very, very, I think we're so knowledgeable. Many of us can write our own books regarding that particular subject. So that's all I want to say. I just didn't understand when he said we needed to have that dialogue. Who are the we that needed to have that dialogue? And then when he had it, he did everything that most of the people said they thought he was going to do. He did that. And in the process of him doing that, he still was given the freedom to do it and to speak and not be rebuked or not be respectfully checked. Because at that point, it almost, as if always have been, we sit back and let other races, it doesn't necessarily have to be white, other races dictate to us or tell us about us. And that's the irony, because you would never really know about us until you are one of us. You guys be blessed. Bye-bye.